How y'all doing? This is Nell Zone with real estate. I wanted to talk about, right now, people are thinking or wondering, should I buy or should I wait? But, it's really about, the do's and don'ts right now. How do you evaluate it, make a decision on should I invest in buying my first time home? In 2021. There's a lot of information out there on the web. You want to get with someone who's trustworthy, like a mortgage broker or a realtor that you have confidence in that won't steer you wrong. You got to analyze the data, basically. So I'll make it simple. Don't ask anybody who's in the real estate business whether you should buy or not. Why? Because it's in their best interest that you buy, because that's how they make their money, right? So you want to make a decision on your own. And I would suggest doing this. I do this when I analyze property to get the numbers. I basically will take whatever scenario it is, I'll draw a line down the middle and I'll write, like needs versus wants. In this particular scenario, do I need to buy a home or do I want to buy a home? Okay, you got to ask yourself these questions. Okay, a lot of times people are not going to tell you, but I'm going to be straight with you. First of all, why? What's the need? Okay, you can write down on your list, maybe because your family got bigger, you had another child, you're living with mom and dad right now, you want your space, you and your husband, and your kids. Things of that nature. Like, you have to analyze your needs versus your wants, okay? Another thing, did I save money? You have to be, you have to have like your down payment plus closing costs if you're looking to buy. First-time homebuyer FHA program requires you to have 3.5% down deposit, okay? That's not including closing costs. And then you also want to have a little more for what they call reserves, at least 3 to 6 months reserves of the payment plus your expenses every month. You always want to draw a line and find out all your expenses. Let me tell you, you want to know what's your car payment, car insurance, what's the gas. You want to have a ledger of exactly all the bills that you pay every month. You want to keep record of that. You want to, for this, when you're buying a house, you want to know how much money you have to put away or you have left over to actually pay for a mortgage, okay? I'll do another video breaking down, different guidelines and things like that, but for sake of trying to make a decision whether you should buy your first time home this year, analyze the data. I always use what's called the 3P model, perceive, process, and perform, okay? Perceive, like, I'll use a pilot's analogy, okay? They kind of do this. And so they use a pilot's analogy. So a pilot's looking at it and he has to perceive the situation or circumstance in front of him, okay? What's going on. Then he has to process that circumstance to make sure it's the best flight, it's best for flight safety once he processes that information. And then last but not least, he has to perform like he was trained and basically, perform and complete the project or land the plane safely or whatnot. At the end of the day, you need to, perceive, process the information, and then perform. So right now, what I'm telling you is perceiving this information. Draw a diagram, like I said, know how much money you have, know how much money you're willing to spend, and is this a need that you definitely can have the best result. All right, I know there's a ton of information out there in the internet, and it can be a little confusing because one person will say, hey, yeah, you need to buy, but you can do this with your finances and then draw another line in the middle and say pros and cons of buying this year, okay? What's the pros this year? Well, the Feds got the interest rate as low as possible, okay? That's number one. So borrowing money right now is the cheapest it's ever been. All right. Second, you have an influx of inventory. What does that mean? It means you have supply and demand. When you have an influx in supply, the demand goes down. Therefore, in relation to real estate, that means prices will go down a little bit. Okay. So these are pros, towards buying a house. Let's see. Your house will gain equity. When you're renting, you're not going to gain any equity. At least it's kind of like a retirement account. So you'll have equity, gaining slowly year by year. Okay, that's another thing by owning versus renting. And basically, you're the boss. You're the landlord. Nobody can kick you out. The mortgage company eventually can if you don't pay your bills. But I mean, you're the boss. That's your house. Something you can call your own. Now the cons. The cons about buying right now, there's only a couple things I can think of right off top is basically, it's an unstable market in the sense of the environment and people's opinions. There's so many opinions, and you can look at the government and see, that it's kind of shaky online, things like that. So it can kind of raise your suspicion about buying. You're uncertain of certain things. It has that fear element. But you got to analyze all this data, man. It's really what I do. I'm not going to concentrate and focus on the negative, but I always try to focus on the positive things. And sometimes when in doubt, or if not, I just draw a line in the middle and analyze the good and the bad. I analyze the needs versus the wants, the pros versus the cons, and make the best decision for you and your husband, you and your spouse, whatever it is, whatever city, demographic you're in. Do, your best to analyze data, do the research. You're looking at my video right now. I appreciate that, and I'm not here to tell you, go buy. It's a good idea to buy. Yeah, sure. Only if you have XYZ in place. If you've saved up money, you got good credit, and basically you have that need. You need to move to a bigger home because you need office space in a bigger home, another room, or your family got bigger. So evaluate that information the best you can, and I like breaking things down to the simplest form to look at it, the data, and that's really all I can say about that, and if you have any questions or whatnot, like I said, let me know, DM me, hit that like button, subscribe, and I appreciate your time, and I hope this helps.